بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Now, with regards to Eid al-Adha, right around the corner, approaching fastly, we've spoken on these rulings, taught these rulings many years ago in this masjid and outside of this masjid. And inshallah ta'ala, you can find all of those videos for free on the channel in a specific playlist. The playlist that talk about the benefits, the rewards, the spirituality of the 10 days, the spirituality of the Eid, the shukr, being thankful to Allah, being proud of the Allah's blessings upon you, spending time with your family, etc. We've also spoken on the technicalities of the Eid. Is the Eid mandatory? Is it fard? Do you have to go? Do women have to go? Do you have to take off work? What is the rule on having multiple Eids in one city? 10, 20, 30 Eids in one city, etc. What time is the Eid? When is the earliest you can pray? When is the latest you can pray? What do you do if you miss the Eid? How should the Eid be offered, etc. And also the fiqh of the actual slaughtering. The fiqh of the slaughtering. What's the age of the animals? What's the description of the animals? Which animals are best? Which animals are invalid? If you have this problem with this animal, its ear, its foot, etc., and which it's no longer udhiyah, or as some say, qurbani, but it's just meat that's lawful to eat for your family, but it isn't the reward. etc. So we've explained all of that in detail. And what we want to do right now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is just maybe read a few fatwa from now until the day of the Eid, the time of slaughtering, to brush up and to touch up on some of these issues, but not to take these issues and explain them specifically right now, right here in this class, maybe after Maghrib, etc. Khairan, inshallah. So read a few fatwa here from Sheikh Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Imrani, may Allah have mercy upon him. And the first fatwa that we read here before was the ruling of the Udhiyah. Do you have to do it, or is it just recommended? Or is it obligatory upon those who have the money? 3 views now, listen carefully. Number 1, it's mandatory, period. Number 2, it isn't mandatory, period, recommended, sunnah, fadila, extra rewards. Number 3, is that Udhiyah is mandatory upon those who can't afford it. There's a difference between that ruling and the first ruling, the first opinion, the first madhab. Because the first madhab doesn't stipulate having the money or not, meaning the poor person is supposed to save money, get money, and prepare for it. Versus the third view, in which is only for those who have affluent wealth, flowing wealth, extra money from the get-go. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. Another question states here, and we explained that already. هل تجب الأضحية على المرأة إذا كانت الأسرة لا يوجد فيها رجال? Is Udhiyah mandatory? Is it obligatory upon a woman who is the head of a family in which there are no men? And it is a very practical question for Yemen or New York City. In Yemen, obviously, Allahul Musta'an, what's been going on there for years now. Wars, fighting, bombings, humanitarian crisis. And a lot of men are gone. They're dead. They don't exist anymore. So it's just a woman who's looking after the children. Does she have to do the Udhiyah or not? If it isn't mandatory, because it's based off of the previous ruling, should she do it instead of a man? Or New York City, a man is in jail. Or a woman, she reverts to Islam and just her and her children and her ex-husband or boyfriend or whatever is a kafir, etc. So it's a very practical question in which a woman may have, or a woman may be the only one who's in charge of the family. Or, unfortunately, there is a Muslim husband or a Muslim father or ex-husband, but he's not around. He doesn't take care of the children, he's not there, he spends no time, he spends no money, etc. So can a woman get the reward of the Udhiyah Is she responsible for making the udhiyah or not? The answer states, إذا كانت المرأة مستطيعة ولا يوجد رجال فيشرع لها أن تضحي لأن النساء شقائق الرجال. هذا إذا كانت تملك أضحية أو هي قادرة على شراء أضحية. The answer says is that if the woman is able, if she's capable, meaning financially, then it is from the sunnah, it's from the deen, it's from the sharia for her to get an udhiyah. And this is because men and women are the same. They're twins, meaning in the law's rules. Until proven that this is only for men, proven that this is only for women. The rulings of the sharia, basically in simple terms, are unisex. The rulings of the deen are unisex until proven just for men, just for women. So therefore, based off of that, she's no different than a man. So if she has the udhiyah, or she can buy and purchase the udhiyah, then she should what? She should do it. Now, is it obligatory? That answer is only found in the previous ruling. Is it obligatory in general, let alone upon a woman or not? And of course, there are other issues with regards to a woman slaughtering an animal herself. Is that lawful? Is that permissible? Is that makruh? And inshallah ta'ala, the correct view is that a woman is allowed to slaughter herself, as long as she has the necessary strength and the necessary composure to remove the animal from suffering and pain in the quickest manner possible. And there are some men that can't make udhiyah. I've seen it with my own eyes. Big, strong men. They can't do it. They don't have enough stomach, or whatever the case may be. They get queasy, or they get scared, or they get too, they can't do it. So if a woman can do it, then she can do it. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Next question says, فضيلة الشيخ هناك رجل يستطيع أن يضحي ولكن لم يضحي فهل هو آثم? Oh Sheikh, there's someone who has the money, has the ability to do udhiyah, but he didn't do it. Is he sinful? الجواب هو آثم على مذهب من يقول إن الأضحية واجبة على المستطيع. أما على مذهب الجمهور الذين يقولون إنها سنة فليس بآثم. He says is that he is sinful based off of the madhab that says that you have to do it. As far as the majority of the ulama, then they say that the udhiyah is only recommended, so therefore he isn't sinful. It wasn't obligatory upon him. السؤال ماذا ترجحون وجوب الأضحية على القادر أم سنيتها? Sheikh, what's your opinion? What's the strongest view? Is the udhiyah mandatory or recommended? The one who has the ability. The Sheikh says, الراجح عندي الوجوب على من كان مستطيعا. He says the strongest view to me is that it is mandatory upon the one who is capable. Next question says, لمن تشرع الأضحية وما حكمها وهل على كل فرد أضحية أم تكفي الأسرة الواحدة أضحية? Question says, who should make the udhiyah? What's the ruling of it? And is it for every individual Muslim, or is one sacrificial animal enough for a household, for a Muslim family? الجواب تشرع الأضحية على كل بيت وأقلها شاة لأن شاة تكفي عن أسره أو عن أسرة والبقرة تكفي ل7 بيوت والجمل أو الناقة تكفي ل10 بيوت أو أي 10 أسر. والأدلة قد دلت على ذلك لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يضحي عن أسرته بشاة وقل الأضحية شاة وأوسطها بقرة وعلاها جمل أو ناقة. The answer says is that the udhiyah should be made for each and every single household, every house unit. And one sheep or one goat is enough for a household. And the baqarah, a cow, a heifer, or a bull, either of the two, that suffices how many? 7 households. Not 7 people, but 7 what? Houses. It could be 10 people living in one house, 5 people, 3 people, 7 houses. And a camel, male or female, etc., is sufficient for 10. 10 houses. 10 men can come together, 9 men and 1 woman, etc., widow. They come together, they purchase it, and they split it up like that. The proofs and evidences clearly state this. And the Prophet ﷺ, he used to slaughter a sheep for his household. So the minimum is a sheep or a lamb, that type of animal, regardless of the sex, etc., horns, etc. In the middle is a baqarah, and the highest and most expensive is what? Is a camel. Next question states here. رجل رأى ثعبانا فراد قتله لكن الثعبان التوى على يده حتى كاد يكسرها فنظر لأن خلصه الله من هذا الثعبان ليذبحن كبشا فراد تأخير النذر إلى يوم العيد فهل يكون نذرا وأضحية. There's a man who saw a fox and he wanted to kill the fox, but the fox jumped upon him and it bit his arm, and it almost broke his arm, broke his wrist from the bite. He was injured severely. So the man, he swore to Allah, he made a vow, is that if Allah allowed this fox or this wolf to get off of his arm, this hyena, this coyote, this thu'ban, can mean many things. F1, not a snake. It says here, it says thu'ban, a snake, F1. He wanted to kill a snake, not a fox. Wrong translation, wrong animal. A thu'ban, فَإِذَا هِيَ ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ, right? So this snake, it bit him, and it was about to, his bone was about to be broken, it says. So if Allah allowed the snake to get off of his arm or his hand, he would slaughter a sheep out of thankfulness and gratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, Allah gave him his wish, but he wanted to fulfill the vow on the day of the Eid. So once he does it, he fulfills his vow on the day of the Eid. Will it be a vow and an udhiyah, or just one of the two? It could be anything. You get ran over by a car. You get stopped by the police, anything. You say, oh Allah, please protect me from these people. And if you do, I'll do this for your sake. That's a vow that you have to fulfill. That's an act of ibadah. It's mandatory for you to fulfill that vow. So now the Eid comes, and that's what the question says. It says snake. The Eid comes, he wants to slaughter for his vow on the Eid. Which of the two rewards, which of the two acts of ibadah will it be? The answer says, لا يكون وفاء بالنذر أو أضحية بحسب النية، أي لا تكون الذبيحة الواحدة للنذر وللأضحية معا، بل إن والنذر كان للنذر ونرى الذبيحة للأضحية كانت أضحية. It says it can't be both. You can't kill two birds with one stone here. It's either going to be for his vow, or it's either going to be for the qurbani, one of the two. It cannot be both. Next question says, متى تذبح الأضحية ومتى يبدأ وقتها ومتى آخر وقت ذبح الأضحية؟ الجواب: يبدأ وقت الأضحية من صباح يوم العيد، ولكن بشرط أن تكون بعد صلاة العيد. ولكن اختلفت أنظار العلماء هل المراد بالصلاة صلاة المضحي نفسه أم صلاة الإمام؟ فالإمام مالك جعل الألف واللام للعهد، وهي الصلاة المعهودة في صباح يوم العيد، وهي الصلاة الكبرى التي تؤدى في الجبانة التي يصلى فيها رئيس الدولة. ومذهب الجمهور أن المراد بالصلاة صلاة المضحي نفسه، وآخر وقت ذبح الأضحية هو غروب يوم رابع العيد، أي آخر أيام التشريق. Question says, when should the Udhiyah be made? When does it begin and when does it end? The answer states is that the earliest you can make the Udhiyah is the morning of the Eid. However, after the Salah. It cannot be done before the Salah. Pay attention. Many people, they send their money overseas. If you send your money to Bangladesh, and it's a different time zone, it's going to be a problem. Whether it's their salat, your salat, etc. Some people, they send money overseas and they don't explain to the person. The person getting the money is ignorant. They don't know. The people are poor in the village. They need the food. They need the meat. And it's not udhiyah. So it cannot be before the salah. Now, that's clear. But what's meant by the salah? The Mufti here, he says, is that the scholars of Islam, their views and their opinions, they take a fork in the road. So Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, is that what's meant by the salah is the prayer of the imam, the ruler, meaning the main prayer. In other words, in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, the Salaf al-Salih, Imam Malik, the Muslims weren't splintered like they are today. There was no down the street Eid, across the street Eid, over there Eid, over there. It wasn't none of that. There was one main, big, grand Eid. And if there was another Eid, because it was the distance, it was miniature. But everybody would what? Go to the main Eid with the Imam. As far as today then, you can walk down the street and you know, Shia Eid, these people Eid, these persons Eid, this masjid, I don't like you, you don't like him. It's 50 Eids here in Queens. Unfortunately, Allah musta'an. And we've spoke about that many times before, minimizing the differences, the fractures, the fissures of the ummah, minimizing the splintering of the Muslims. And we're all part of the problem, including myself. Our disunity, our hatred for each other, our jealousy for each other, our racism, prejudice for each other, our greed, our power, thirst for each other, wanting political control. We're all on Allah musta'an. May Allah help us and guide us all, the Muslims today. What's important is Imam Malik, he held the view is that the Eid is, what's meant by the prayer is the prayer of the Imam, and the animal cannot be sacrificed what? Before his prayer. Even if you had what? Prayed already. And the majority of the ulama, they held the view is that what's meant by the salah is the salah of the one who's offering the animal. So let's say, for example, the main prayer is at 8:30, but I prayed at 6:30. Based off of that view, it will be valid. And Imam Malik, rahimahullah, and those other ulama, they held the view is that it will be what? Invalid until it's at 9 a.m. after the Imam has prayed. All right? He says here, he says that so that's when the Udhiyah begins. And the last time that a person can pray, or can make the Udhiyah, is Maghrib on the 4th day of the Eid. Meaning after the days of Tashriq. So Eid Adha is the big Eid, and there are 3 additional days to the actual day of the Eid. So the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah is the Yawm al-Eid, Yawm al-Nahar, and then there's the 11th, 12th, 13th. So the last of those 4 days is the last time you can make the Udhiyah before Salat al-Maghrib. The last question that we'll mention, it says, هل يشترط أن يكون ذبح الأضحية عقيب صلاة العيد? Is it a must that one slaughters his animal right after the Eid prayer? Is that a must? Is that an absolute must? الجواب لا يشترط بل يصح الذبح عقيب صلاة العيد أو ظهر يوم العيد أو في العصر أو في العشاء أو في يوم ثاني العيد، سواء كان الذبح في النهار أو في المساء من أيام التشريق، ولا فرق في من سيذبح يوم العيد أن يكون الذبح قبل الظهر أو بعد الظهر أو بعد العصر. المهم أن لا يذبح الأضحية قبل صلاة العيد. It says here is none of these things are a condition. It does not have to be right after the prayer. Rather, it could be dhuhr, it could be asr, it could be isha, it could be the second day, it can be the night, it can be the day. What's important, anytime during those 4 days, as long as it doesn't come before the actual Eid prayer. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best, and with Him is all success. All of these fatwa here were given by Shaykh Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Umrani, Allah have mercy upon his soul. Hopefully, this will bring clarity and reminder. Wallahu ta'ala alam, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.